So first question is, following points help yoga teacher in imparting instructions in yoga class. Option 1 is instructions should be short, slow and clear. Option 2, teacher should maintain distance with students. Option 3, several instructions should be given at a time. 4, if required, instruction should be repeated. So this is the code. Now answer from this. Raise your hands. Who wants to answer? Lipalika ji.
Yes, ma'am. 1 4 means option should be A.
Right. Option should be A. How will you explain this?
Ma'am, instructions should be short, slow, and clear. And another option, if required, instructions should be repeated. Means if you will give instructions short, then that students can demonstrate that, or student can understand clearly. If you will give too much instruction at a time, no one can recognize what we want to say or what we want to demonstrate that. And if while practicing, if anyone doing wrong, we can give at that time again instruction.
Right. So as instructions, many instructions should not be given. So this option is totally incorrect. And second option, teacher should maintain distance with students. So this is also wrong. First and fourth are correct. Is this question clear to everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Then next question is, according to the book Teaching Methods of Yogic Practices, what should be the size of students' mat?
A.
Please. Okay. Wait a minute. Okay. Yes, option A is correct. After this, in which chapter this is given? Sakshi ji.
Ma'am, I don't remember the chapter, but I think I've
Which
studied
topic?
about it. Yeah, it's sitting arrangement, ma'am. Like how
Yes,
the place should be.
yes, yes.
Ma'am, but there I have ये तो मैंने ऐसे like I have just take a guess, but there in the slide it was 6 feet or something.
Sorry, yes. It's 6 feet and into 3 feet, 3 square feet. Yes.
3 feet.
Option B is correct. Yes. Option B is correct.
Okay. So 3 into 6 is square feet, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Then next question is, which of the following is directional method of yoga teaching? So if you remember about the directional method, first who will tell about directional method of yoga teaching? The directed practice method.
Ma'am, is it that one where teacher will ask student to practice after the class also?
Yes, the extra practice. So in directional method, remember that the first line, assignments for extra practice.
Then answer should be D or
No,
C.
answer should be C. Demonstration is done in the demonstration method, so it should not be. This, in directional method, teacher, students do the extra practice. Teacher gives assignments for extra practice, so this should be the correct answer. Because in directional, in lecture method is there is lecture. In group discussion method, there is group discussion. But in only directional method and directed practice method, practice is done by students. Okay.
Yes,
Next,
ma'am.
for a large group of students in yoga, one convenient sitting arrangement should include a double row with space in between without dais for the teacher. Second is circular sitting for students. So there is large group. C is double row with space and with a dais for the teacher. D,
Ma'am,
U
diet
shape.
मतलब?
Dais means platform, the stage, like a stage
Okay,
where
okay.
students can see and teacher can see each other. D, U shaped sitting for for students.
Ma'am, C.
Ma'am, C.
C.
Okay, Deepamji, why C?
I think first of all, if we arrange them in a row, it will be convenient for the trainer also to look at everyone, and also the teacher needs basically a platform or a stage, because the ones who are at the back, it would be convenient for them to look at the teacher.
True. So option one is totally incorrect. Once we see without dash, just cross it. Don't see other options after that. So if we have with a dash option, then we will see this option. For a large group, then we can use double row with space. Yes. Next is for a small yoga class, best sitting arrangement of the students may be.
Ma'am,
What?
semicircle form.
Semicircle.
Yes,
Semicircle.
right. This is directly as it is given in the book. After fifth question, sixth is learning of a specific yoga practice by a student depends upon concentration of the instruction, power of the instructor, clear instruction by of the instructor, or self confidence of the instructor.
I think C.
Ma'am, C.
Ma'am, C.
Yes, see. Now let's see. Option number A, does uh, it does not depend upon concentration of the instruction, neither on the power of the instructor. So if teacher is delivering, is instructing in a clear way, then students, learners will be able to uh, do it in good way. So it depends on this only. Neither it depend on self confidence of the instructor. Next, the purpose of teaching is mainly to induce change in the
Change in
environment.
the student.
Yes, change in the student.
C, ma'am.
C.
Yes, C option correct. Because we
Ma'am, here
studied that.
subject means the subject of the. I mean the what is the subject here actually?
Change in the subject. For example, now you are studying teaching methods, and then no, this option is incorrect. This option is incorrect. This is not the purpose of teaching, to induce change in subject.
Okay.
Next question. Most authentic methodology of imparting value education may be traditional Gurukul teaching, classroom teaching, practice based yoga teaching, or theory based yoga teaching.
Ma'am, A.
Ma'am, A.
Yes, in Gurukulas, value education was given in ancient times. So these are very simple, very easy questions till now. The advantages of a written lesson plan are: A, to organize teachers' thinking, B, to increase teachers' confidence, C, to understand students' capacity, D, to keep up teaching objectives. Find the correct combination according to the code.
Ma'am,
4.
4.
4.
For everyone, four, or anybody has some different answer.
Just
Okay,
a
let's
second,
see.
ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, A, C, D. Second for me.
A, C, D. Okay, now let's see, out of A, B, D, and A, C, D, second and four option, which one is correct. So A and D, in A and D, nobody has doubt. To organize teachers' thinking and to keep up teaching objectives. These two options are correct. Now, option B and C, let's see. Option C says to understand students' capacity. How can you what's the purpose of planning the lesson? Does it make teacher to understand students' capacity in any way?
Ma'am,
For
teaching
example,
is done for learner only, no? So, ma'am,
yes, but now the teacher is doing planning, so it's not going to make him understand students' capacity. If he's asking some questions, then he will be able to understand about students' capacity. If he's asking some questions from the students, like introductory questions, but in while planning the lesson, then this is not correct. But yes, if teacher knows what he is going to teach, then it definitely increases the teacher's confidence if he has a clear cut plan of what he will do.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, then next is match the list 1 and list 2 and select the correct answer using the code given below. List 1, lecture method, group discussion method, demonstration method, directed practice method, and in list 2, these are the options: skill, assignment, formal teaching, solution. So match these
Ma'am, options.
options. Okay.
Ma'am, acha, they are in slides.
First match them from here, then we will move to the
Ma'am, can you
options.
show the option?
Okay, tell me
Ma'am,
about
third.
Ma'am, option 2. Sorry,
Okay,
sorry.
option 3 too.
No, 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 2. Option 3. But I can match it, but this is little bit taking confusion. But by seeing the column, I can match it.
Okay. So if anybody have any other option than other than option number 3, or let me ask by uh, one by one. Lecture method. It should be matched with,
Formal
Formal
teaching.
teaching, ma'am.
yes. Lecture method is formal way of teaching. And group discussion method,
Solution
Yeah,
4.
yeah.
yes. The purpose of group discussion method or the outcome of group discussion method is to find solution. And after that, demonstration method,
Skill. Skill.
yes. In demonstration method, the emphasis is on skill. Then directed practice method,
Assignments.
yes. Assignments for extra practice. So now which option it will be?
Ma'am, third.
Yes,
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
third option. Next question. Identify the correct sequence of presentation in yoga teaching. These are the four. First, arrange them on a paper, or then we will move to the options.
Ma'am, can you just show me the ones, please? I'll take screenshot, then I'll see.
Okay.
I think three.
Okay.
Ma'am, please show that questions. Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, see.
Okay. C. And more. Karthik ji and Lipalika ji.
Yes, ma'am. C.
Okay. Then how the C option? Who will explain?
First explanation. What we are going to teach them, we should explain
Yes.
it. Then we need to demonstrate.
Okay.
Then we will go for evaluation. By we can do evaluation by raising questioning. Then at last we go to discussion.
Okay. Yes, this is correct sequence. Next question is, which is the most suitable teaching method for teaching yoga practices in a small group of learners? Demonstration method, direct practice method, third, group discussion method, fourth, response to instruction method.
Ma'am, I think fourth.
Okay, and more.
What is response to instruction method? I can't remember.
In response to instruction method, students follow the instructions what teacher gives.
That is similar to direct practice, right?
No, it is not similar to direct practice. In response to instruction method, it's like teacher is giving instructions and all the students are following it formally. So it's a more formal way. And in direct group practice, teacher gives extra practice. Teacher guides them for the extra practice.
Ma'am, I think then it should be B.
Okay.
Yeah, that is a bit confusing. I think either two or four, any of the option.
Okay, and more what Lapalika ji and Karthik ji, Deepam ji
Yes.
also.
Response to instruction method. I'm not doubt, but I'm not clear about it.
Ma'am, it should be two direct practice method. Response to instruction method means teacher will give little attention because it is formal teaching approach.
Right. So in formal teaching, as I gave example while teaching this topic, I gave example of like uh, on the yoga day when there are a large number of people and then yoga teacher gives the instructions, then it can be included in response to instruction method because they are they are not paying attention to individuals. They are just formally giving the instructions. So for small groups, if we can use direct practice method, why we can use it for small group? Because when learners are small, then teacher can help them, can assist them in teaching in more better way. If the group is small, then we can use direct practice method more effectively. Did you get it,
Yes, ma'am.
everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the next is according to teaching methods of yogic practices, the learning pattern simple to complex and non from non to unknown belongs to psychological principles, educational principles, sociological principles, yogic principles.
मैम सारे ही लग रहे हैं.
One, ma'am.
Psychological and more. Deepam ji and Karthik ji.
मैम
No
ये भी.
idea, man.
Okay. Uh, Let me present the slide of these. I'm not going to answer. You have to answer only.
Educational principle.
Yes, very good, Karthik ji. So these are the yogic principles. Just have a look at these so that you get get in your mind what are yogic principles and what are psychological principles. So in teaching aptitude also, you might have learned about this from non to unknown, from simple to complex, these things.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so it should be which principle? Let me show you educational principle. In the principle of progression, we studied this. What is the principle of progression? Anybody?
Ma'am, simple to complex.
Yes. In principle of progression, while teaching any physical activity, not only yoga, but apart from yoga, other activities too, we always move towards uh, low intensity to high intensity. So this is what principle says, we slowly progress. So simple to complex and from non to unknown. This is in educational principle. So that's why I was saying while we were studying this in the class, that remember what's given in which principle. Questions from this has been asked. In the same way, remember what's given in other principle, in yogic principle and um, anatomic principle, psychological principle. Revise it well. So which one is the correct option? Educational principles. Yes. Next question is, according to teaching method of yogic practice, arrange the following steps of yoga practical class in a sequence of start to end. Arrange these: A. Question and answer. B. Group practice. C. Individual practice. D. Relaxation. E. Sitting arrangement. Arrange these.
Ma'am, third.
Third. Okay.
Third, madam.
Okay. Let's see. So sitting arrangement should be first. So either 1 or 3. Then after sitting arrangement,
Ma'am,
after
C.
sitting,
Individual practice.
yes, after sitting arrangement, individual practice. So after that, B,
Group.
group practice. After individual practice, group practice. After group practice, either relaxation or question and answer.
Ma'am, I have a doubt. Maybe after relaxation we ask question, but
Yes, yes.
okay, then it should be A. Then first, then.
Yes, the option should be A, because at the end of the practice you do relaxation, but even after that relaxation, after the whole class is over, then you do question and answering. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. After this 15th, is there any noise coming from my background?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then 15th, which of the following are the purposes of lesson plan? A, to reduce the last minute pressure in the classroom. B, dealing with difficult students in the classroom. C, to show the importance of modern education system. D, to show the more interest in teaching aids.
Ma'am,
E,
4.
4.
four. Okay. And E is to keep the class towards the goal. So E option you are fourth option you are saying A, D, and E. And now let's see what's A. To reduce the last minute pressure in the classroom. Yes. To dealing with difficult students in the classroom. So planning the lesson plan has nothing to do with dealing the difficult students. And C, to show the importance of modern education system. This is not also true for lesson planning. To show the more interest in teaching aids. Yes, this can be, because if teacher has planned already, then he can he may know that which teaching aids he or she wants to use to keep the class towards the goal. Yes, so there is E option is correct. Is this clear to everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Next, Which of the following are successful teaching learning approach? Teacher centered approach, student centered approach, curriculum centered approach, and tradition centered approach. D.
Ma'am, tradition and teacher is the same, no? Like somehow teacher center approach and traditional center approach.
Ma'am, option A, 1, sorry, 1.
I'm also not sure about the answer of this question. So you give your thoughts on this question.
Yes, ma'am. Then maybe A and B. I'm confused between A and B and A and D.
A and D and
B and D.
what?
I mean the first and fourth option.
Okay. And Deepam G and Karthik G.
I'm little confused in this one.
Ma'am, if we talk about modern education system, then it should be A and B because right now we are following that only. So yes, A and B could be the answer.
A and B. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I think option one.
Yes, because in the book also we nowhere we studied about about curriculum centered approach and tradition centered approach. So it should be A and B.
A.
Ma'am, is it a previous year question?
Yes, this is a previous year question.
Okay.
Next, given below are two statements. Statement 1 is value based education seems absent in modern times. Maximizing statement 2, maximizing self gratification is the moral value. In the light of the above statement, choose the most appropriate answer from the following options. Option 1, both statement 1 and 2 are correct. Option 2, both 1 and 2 are incorrect. 3, 1 is correct, 2 is incorrect. 4, 1 is incorrect, 2 is correct.
Ma'am, self gratification means?
Self gratification means activities for anything done for the self desires and instantly gratification means instantly doing something for pleasure.
Like satisfying our own pleasures.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, ma'am. Then it should be third.
Third, oh,
One is
statement
correct,
1 is
second is
correct.
wrong.
Ma'am, third.
Yes, option third is correct. In moral values there is no self gratification, there is selfless service, but no self gratification is there. 18th question. Practices of pranayama principally provide control over first, autonomous nervous system, second, central nervous system, third, sympathetic nervous system, fourth, parasympathetic nervous system.
I'm
Ma'am,
sympathetic
Oh,
nervous
one.
system.
ma'am,
Autonomous now.
Okay, Deepamji saying one, and third who
Ma'am, for
was
me,
saying
sympathetic. Ma'am, I am saying sympathetic because parasympathetic activates in pranayam, no? So, which means sympathetic controls there. That's why I'm saying this third.
Option 1, madam.
Basically, autonomous nervous system includes both sympathetic and parasympathetic. So you can control both actually.
yes, Sakshi ji, I didn't understand what you were trying to say.
I was saying that pranayama give control over sympathetic nervous system, then only parasympathetic nervous system activates, no?
No, if it brings control over parasympathetic and sympathetic over sympathetic, then that means sympathetic is I mean that if it provides you control over autonomous, then both parasympathetic as well as sympathetic will be in control.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I forgot, ma'am, that autonomous contain both of them. That's why I think.
Yes. So also if we see some of the examples of pranayama, like when we do bhastrika, then our sympathetic is more activated at
Sympathetic
that
is
time.
activated. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and when we do relaxing pranayamas like nadi shodhan or brahmari, then parasympathetic is activated. So both are activated. It brings control over the whole autonomous nervous system.
Also, ma'am, they like work hand in hand, sympathetic and parasympathetic. So we cannot isolate any one particularly.
True. Next, according to teaching methods of yogic practices, how many factors are involved in teaching methods? 1, 5, 2, 6, 3, 7, 4, 8.
Ma'am, I think five.
Ma'am, 2. 6.
Okay, 6 and 5. First and second option. Deepam ji and Karthik ji.
Don't remember this, ma'am.
Oh, factors, ma'am. Ma'am, no, no, no. Let me think. 1 minute.
Okay. So if you remember in chapter number 3rd, which was meaning and scope of teaching method, we
Yes, yes.
studied, yes,
Means teacher, teaching, student means learner, subject, and environment. Uh, how many are there?
mm,
Yes, maybe 6.
yes, just whatever is given in that book, remember that. It's very important.
Ma'am, is it six?
Hi, madam.
6, 6 is the correct option. If you see
Ma'am, कौन
that
सा?
teaching, learning, teacher, learner, and subject content of the activity, and environment, these are the 6 factors, and the 5 you are thinking about, 5 are those which factors influence the method. They are different.
Oh,
6 factors are involved in teaching process, in teaching method.
yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
Thank
So
you, ma'am.
please revise these and study whatever is given in the book, in the notes. According to the teaching, next question, according to the teaching methods of yogic practices, conventional patterns of successful teaching are of 2 types, 4 types, 5 types, 7 types.
Ma'am, 7 types.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, not sure, but we have a lot of. That's why I'm saying seven.
Okay. Which 7 types you are talking about?
Conventional thing is that, na ma'am, which is a teacher center.
Yeah. The
So
conventional, traditional.
yeah. So in that we have teacher centered. तो उसी पे
7,
आ
madam.
जाता.
Means basic 7 method that we studied means lecture method, response to
Hmm.
instruction method. These are individualized method, direct practice method, group discussion methods. I think these are the
Project method and demonstration method.
yes, yes.
Okay, so I am confused in this. I'm not sure whether it should be two types or seven types because in the book there are two. There is a line given that traditionally there have been two approaches towards successful teaching. First is teacher centered, and second is student centered approach. So I'm not sure about that whether the answer should be two types or seven types.
Ma'am, the word conventional is confusing me.
Conventional means traditional.
Yeah, so in that case, then it should be, I think, seven.
It should be two types.
Ma'am means conventional, then it will be seven, na ma'am. Because in tradition teaching way method, they are not that much focused on student centered.
Hmm.
But nowadays modern teaching, it's going to student centered, learner centered method.
But all those seven methods, they are not teacher centered method. All of these are not teacher centered. The lecture method, response to that we studied, all of these are not teacher centered.
Ma'am, lecture method is teacher centered, na? Uh,
Yes,
and
only lecture method is teacher centered here.
also, ma'am, teacher centered means it's formal teaching approach.
Yeah, so according to me, this the answer should be two types, but you do your own research. You can read the book also. And if
Okay,
someone, what?
okay, ma'am.
Okay. Next question is last question. According to the book, how much area is required for every individuals during yoga practice?
And
Ma'am,
four.
option 4, 40 square feet.
Four.
Yes. Okay, so these were the questions. And should I ask you questions from you?
Yes, ma'am, please.
So I'm not going to ask option type questions, but just to
Yeah.
revise whatever we have learned. How many participants of yoga group? How many In how many groups yoga participants are grouped in the book?
Means, ma'am, could not get.
Yes, ma'am.
In how
Ma'am,
many
you are
categories?
asking about the type of practice, ma'am?
Practitioners, participants of yoga,
Four.
students categorized in how many categories, or in how many groups the yoga participants are divided? They are grouped.
Four.
What are these?
Beginner, experienced, or advanced school children, special attention.
Okay, correct. And tell me about the main main points about lecture method.
It is a teacher-centered approach, and student get passive there, like learner get passive there, and a lot of knowledge could be conveyed from this method.
Okay. And what's
Also,
the
it is
drawback of this?
it is the most traditional method of teaching.
Right. Right. What's the drawback of this method?
Student
There,
can't answer question.
Yes.
there might be
And
lack of communication and also misunderstanding.
right. And tell me about the demonstration method.
Basically, the teacher demonstrates the whole procedure in front of the students so that there is no confusion, and the student gets to take down all the important points throughout the class.
Okay.
And
Not only
demonstration method not
yes,
not it is not a competitive
yes,
method.
yes. This is very important. This is not competitive type. So here, students, if students are demonstrating, then they are not competing with each other. And what's the limitation of this demonstration method?
Ma'am,
Dep-
less number of participant.
Yes, ma'am.
No.
uh, Also, it depends upon the demonstrative ability of the teacher, and it's maybe time consuming.
Okay, but what's the main point that is given in the book about the limitation? The scope of learning in demonstration method is restricted. Means you are not learning anything new in this. Students are only demonstrating what they have learned already to improve their skill. They there is nothing new they are learning. This is the drawback. It utilizes existing talent rather than developing new skills. And who will tell me the difference between response to instruction method and individualized instructional method?
Response to instruction method is that where instructor give instructor and we follow them. I mean the followers follow them.
Hmm.
And which one? Another one, ma'am. Individualized instruction
Individualized.
method.
Yes.
Here, instructor focuses on individual to individual. मतलब they focuses on individual basis. He will be like he or she will be uh, giving complete uh, focus or awareness on individual.
Okay. So, Sakshi ji, in individualized instructional method, is there is there a group or the teacher is uh, teaching personally to an individual?
I think it's a group.
Yes. Both in response to instruction as well as in individualized instructional method, in both of these there are groups, but in instructional method, though, in the instruction individualized instructional method, the instructions are in such a way that takes care of the individual needs in the pattern of the group, within the group.
Here, number of people will be less, na ma'am. Like
They
number
can
of
be
part.
less,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
surely, not surely, because there can be many teachers also who are paying attention to the individuals in a large
Mm,
class.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And directed practice method, anyone?
Where teacher asks student to practice after the class. I mean, after the demonstration.
Yes. Remember this word in this assignment for extra practice. Extra practice. Whether it could be either out of the class, so there is extra practice that students are doing. Project method. What's the purpose of project method?
Yeah, ma'am. Like, teacher ask them to practice what they have learned in the class or something like that.
Right, right.
Students needs to prepare model what they learned.
Yes, students prepare models and they do different things uh, they they do observation, they visit to conferences, they go to conferences and other yoga competitions and yoga centers. So whatever all the activities in which students get to put into practice what they have learned. And what are the other methods? Group discussion method. When do we use group discussion method?
Group discussion usually used for solving the problem, specific solve any solution of problem.
Right. And what are the yogic principles? Yes, yes.
Ma'am, this group discussion could be like teacher and it should it would be it could be between teacher and student also, no?
Yes, it can be between teacher and student.
Ma'am, it can be
But
teacher and students. It can be students with students also. Group discussion.
yes, so they all are discussing. Teacher is more of type of guiding that discussion.
Yes, ma'am.
And who will tell me about the yogic principles?
Ma'am, yoga is not, what was that? Like, yoga is not only about asana,
Hmm.
like doing extreme asanas and stretching and all, bending and everything. It's not only about that.
Hmm.
And yeah, this is what I could recall right now.
Revise these principles, all the principles.
Also, it
There are
doesn't
many.
belong to any particular religion and anything.
No, these are not the yogic principles.
And what I have said is also,
You are telling about the misconceptions, I guess. But in yogic principles, these points were given that yoga is not exercise and we should not do vigorous activities. Yoga, we should not include vigorous activities because uh, this is yoga is not yoga do not
Yoga should not bring fatigue.
what Karthik ji what
Yoga should not bring the fatigue.
yes, it
Means
should
if you are
not
giving
bring
the
the
more practice, means they should not become a fatigue.
yes. And also according to Patanjali's sutras also that there should be effortlessness in the performance and there are static stretchings included in yoga posture, not the dynamic. And what more?
Slowly and smoothly they should be performed.
Yes, and it should bring peace of mind. These are the principle. In the same way, what are the psychological principles?
It should motivate the learner.
Yes, and teacher should teach in such a way that it keeps the interest of the learner. And there should be
And ma'am, complex motor skills require repetitive practice.
Yes. And the practice should be correct in the
Yes.
initial, yes. And also learning is individualized. So everyone learns at their different pace. And teacher should give intellectual understanding of the practice what they're going to do. And what are the educational principles?
Educational principle, ma'am, mainly refers to simplex to complex, means known to unknown.
Yes. And more, what are the whole method, part method, all these method that we studied? For example, if someone is a beginner, then which method we will use for them? Whole method or part method?
Art method में.
Part
Yes, we will
method.
use. Yes, we use whole method if either if our if the practice that we are teaching is easy, or we use it when the learners are mature. and
Principle of
and
progression.
yes, principle of progression. Yes. And more, what we studied in educational principles. So for example, if someone is learning yoga for the first time, then which type of instructions will you give them? Will you give them formal instruction or informal instruction?
Informal में.
Informal instruction.
No, formal instruction. Let me show you. Yes, formal instruction should be given. Formal instructions, you can read, are best suited during the initial phases of the learning process. Initial instructions prevent the student from adopting incorrect habits that might later have to be unlearned.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Got it, ma'am.
Okay, and what are the types of questions that are given?
Introductory questions, developing questions, thought provoking questions.
Hmm. And
Ma'am, in- introductory question.
hmm, problematic question, comprehensive questions, and comparison
Comprehension.
question, recapitulatory. So, tell me in one line about all these kinds of questions. What are introductory questions?
Where in when teachers start some new topic or something, then they will ask the learners about it to check the previous knowledge of the learner.
Hmm. And after introductory, what are developing questions?
To develop a students in a particular subjects. So teacher should ask developing question.
Hmm. And
Ma'am,
thought provoking. Yes.
can, can you give an example of developing questions? Like teacher ask this question in between of the explanation or something?
Yes. While the teacher is teaching, then he asks these developing questions. Like the examples, let me tell you examples from the book. How many systems are there in this chart of human body? What are their functions? Where is liver situated? Where is kidney situated? So there can be other examples also. You can take any example while you are teaching, then just to make the progress in that teaching, just to teach further, you use developing questions. And
Yes,
the
ma'am.
next, yes, and the next thought provoking questions you ask to gain, to allow the students to think more deeply and critically. To go more deeper, you ask thought provoking questions. Okay, and what are problematic questions?
It's like inductive teaching method, like in that also where teacher put the problem in front of a student,
Hmm.
then he will ask the like to solve it or something.
Okay, yes, and recapitulatory questions.
A recapitulated question means, ma'am, what teacher learned to the students means before the class. So,
After the class or before the class?
sorry, sorry.
After the class, whatever the teacher has taught us, so we will be having a recap of the whole session.
Right. What more? What are the three phases of pranayama?
Ma'am, Rechaka, Puraka, and Kumbhaka.
Okay, and what is the ratio that is given for inspiration and expiration?
1:2.
Okay, and if someone is beginner, how they should do pranayam?
No retention, only inhalation and exhalation in ratio 1:1, I guess.
Yes. And purpose of pranayama, to gain control over.
Autonomic nervous system.
System.
Yes.
Also improve in the high aerobic practices.
Ah, true. And what are the two basic principles for the performance of asanas?
Ma'am, please repeat once.
What are the two basic principles which we follow while performing asanas?
Stability and comfort.
Yeah, stability. Yeah,
Sthir Sukham Asanam.
Stira Sukhamasana. Yeah.
What are the types of asanas?
Three types:
Meditative
meditative
Arjuna,
posture.
Hmm.
Yeah.
relax.
Meditative second.
Cultural.
Relaxative and cultural.
Okay. So this is all. You need to revise more about the yogic, about the principles, sources of teaching methods. So revise them well.
Madam, are you taking any other subjects?
Maybe I can teach communication.
Okay, okay, madam. Uh, Please keep in weekly once test about